Let's be honest for a moment. This whole Instagram episode wasn't about Welsh weaving. It wasn't about sustainability. And it certainly wasn't about suddenly discovering the joy of making things by hand. This was about image management, and Kate Middleton has become exceptionally good at that. When Kate posts, it's never casual. Nothing is spontaneous. Not the wording, not the angle of the photo, not even the facial expression. Every post is a carefully stitched narrative ironic, given the sewing machine cameo designed to reinforce one simple message. I am gentle, I am thoughtful, and I care. And that message is desperately needed right now. Because while Kate is busy romanticizing looms and wool, the institution she represents feels colder and more distant than ever. Enter the traditional craft storyline, the royal equivalent of comfort food. Heritage, tradition, quiet labour, safe, non-political, non-threatening, no protests, no accountability, just fabric and vibes. Now let's talk about the language used in those captions. Phrases like historic pattern archives, new cohorts of young weavers, and generations of expertise. Beautiful words, soft words, words that gently float past the uncomfortable reality that these skills survive despite systems of power, not because of them. There's something deeply ironic about royalty praising buying less, while benefiting from centuries of extraction, inheritance, and public funding. It's like being lectured on budgeting by someone who's never seen a bill they had to personally pay. And yes, the company highlighted Melin Tregwynt genuinely deserves respect. Founded in 1841, it has endured through time by the skill of its workers, not by Instagram posts. But once again, the spotlight shifts. The craft becomes secondary. The royal presence becomes the headline. We're told the mill sits in a remote wooded valley on the Pembrokeshire coast. That description alone tells you everything about the branding. Remote, but not forgotten. Wooded, but not wild. Rustic, but curated. It's poverty adjacent without being uncomfortable. Authentic without being inconvenient. And then there's Prince William, always present, rarely speaking, perpetually positioned as the serious statesman. William's role here is fascinating. He doesn't need to say anything. His silence does the work. It signals authority without engagement, approval without effort. William benefits enormously from Kate's carefully cultivated warmth. While she stitches, smiles and posts, he gets to inherit the goodwill without doing much beyond standing nearby and occasionally nodding. It's emotional labour royal edition. Let's talk about the sewing machine moment, because that's where the performance peaked. Kate didn't just observe, she participated. Briefly, symbolically, just enough to be photographed. She didn't sweat, she didn't struggle, she didn't make a mistake. The machine behaved, the fabric cooperated. The message was clear. Look how naturally I fit into this world. But that's the thing she doesn't. And she never will. She can leave at any moment. The weavers can't. She can stitch for 5 minutes. They stitch for decades. She gains praise. They gain exposure. And exposure doesn't pay the rent. This is the ongoing issue with royal engagements like this. They flatten reality into something palatable. They turn labour into lifestyle content. They extract meaning without addressing material conditions. Kate's caption spoke of the joy found in making by hand, but there was no mention of repetitive strain injuries, no mention of wages, no mention of whether the next generation of weavers can afford to stay in their communities. Joy is easier to celebrate when you're not dependent on it to survive. What makes this particularly tone-deaf is the timing. In a moment when people are being told to tighten belts, cut back, and buy less, we're watching millionaires lecture from palaces. The disconnect is staggering. And yet the monarchy still seems confused about why public sentiment feels increasingly thin. They keep offering symbols when people are asking for substance. They keep leaning into aesthetics when the problem is structural. They keep posting when listening would be more effective. Kate's Instagram following may be massive, but followers don't equal trust. Likes don't equal relevance. And carefully worded captions don't erase growing skepticism. What this episode really reveals is a monarchy clinging to soft power, because hard power, authority, respect, legitimacy is eroding. So we get crafts instead of clarity, textiles instead of transparency. William, in particular, seems trapped in this pattern. He wants the reverence of the past without adapting to the accountability of the present. He wants to be seen as modern while relying on the same old formula: smile, wave, visit, leave. Kate executes the formula flawlessly. That's her role. But even flawless execution can't hide the emptiness underneath. Because once the photos fade and the captions stop circulating, nothing has actually changed. The weavers return to work, the public returns to struggling, and the royals return to their estates. So yes, applaud Melin Tregwynt. Celebrate craftsmanship. Support tradition. But let's stop pretending that a stage sewing session is meaningful leadership. It's not. It's branding. And people are starting to see the seams. So when all is said and done, what did we really witness here? Not a revolution in sustainability, not a bold stand for craftsmanship, not even a genuine attempt to understand the lives of working people. What we saw was another perfectly staged royal moment, beautifully photographed, carefully captioned, and emotionally safe. A moment designed to look meaningful without actually being meaningful. Kate Middleton can stitch for 5 minutes and earn glowing headlines. Prince William can stand silently beside her and still be praised for leadership. Meanwhile, the people whose skills were put on display go back to doing the real work without the applause, without the privilege, and without the palace safety net. This is the modern royal formula. Borrow authenticity, polish it, post it, and move on. And the problem isn't the craft. The problem isn't the weavers. The problem is the growing gap between symbolism and reality, between people who pose with responsibility and people who actually live it. Because in a world that's struggling, people don't need lifestyle lessons from palaces. They need honesty. They need accountability. And they need leaders who understand that real connection can't be staged, no matter how well lit the sewing machine is. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and share your thoughts in the comments. Do you see this as genuine support for tradition, or just another glossy performance? And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can use Super Thanks below. Every bit of support helps keep these conversations going unfiltered, unscripted, and unapologetically honest. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.